I really screwed up my life. Although the garage sale wasn't supposed to start until Friday and last until Saturday at the latest, if you thought your stuff was that valuable, I had help preparing for it on Wednesday night. Along with Katie, my mom, and Beth, my older sister, we worked late into the evening that day and then worked like bees all day Thursday. As a result, by 8 a.m. on Friday morning, we had boxes full of items that we had pre-priced and ready to sell. It was heavy on my heart as I picked up, looked at, and ironed those things that once meant so much to both of us. And now some stranger will take them and carry bits of our memory in his hands. Perhaps some neighbor will buy something from moments of a past, happy life in this house. Room after room became eerily quiet as things were taken out of them. The echoes that had been hiding in the corners for years had now returned and settled in. The master bedroom was the hardest. The skirt I bought for her back in Maui. To hell with the sale. The 2 pairs of ridiculous, identical sandals we stomped on the beach in on that vacation. We don't need them anymore. Her blouses, pants, skirts, and all those endless shoes, all different styles and colors. I really wonder if we can sell it all. Mom said to start at $10 a pair, although I'm sure each pair is probably worth much more than that. Yeah, what my wife really knew well was how to masterfully handle a credit card. Almost everything I picked up brought back fond memories. A few times I had to turn my head away to discreetly brush away a tear. Maybe in time my memories will fade, but so far that hasn't happened. It seemed that the contents of every drawer I opened cut my heart alive. Mom banished me to the kitchen from time to time, telling me to grab a snack and take a break. She and Beth had shouldered the task, and even my broken heart couldn't stop them from finishing their mission. Sitting in the kitchen didn't help me in any way. My new apartment was small, and I wouldn't need all those pots, pans, and plates in there. By the time we decided we were ready to start, the garage was littered with boxes from floor to ceiling. The plan was for Hank, my dad, and his buddies to dress up in what looked like quite official law enforcement uniforms. All of it had been purchased at a Halloween store. My father and his friends had permits to carry guns, and they planned to parade around the crowd in full parade. At the same time, a rumor was started that those looking for a 5-finger discount would be better off trying their luck elsewhere than trying their skills at our sale. Mom said she would handle the cash proceeds from the items sold. Friday, I was out before dawn setting up tables and tents. Fortunately, according to the weather forecast, the wind was fairly light, and no precipitation was expected during the day. Interestingly, even this early, some potential buyers were already driving by asking if we were open. At garage sales like ours, there are always early birds like this, eager to find great stuff at a recklessly low price. Beth showed up around 7 a.m. with fresh donuts. Soon after, Mom and Dad showed up as well. While the women fussed, the men began moving furniture out of the house, with each item that was taken out of the house. The crowd that was quickly gathering in our front yard grew in size right before our eyes. It was amazing to see so many people for early morning. Mom volunteered to handle the incoming cash, and I was glad we had thought ahead and picked up a large pack of disposable bags for shoppers to put their purchases in. Beth loved socializing and working with the incoming crowd and would come up with all sorts of funny nonsense whenever someone asked a question. Sister was at ease, telling them anything they themselves wanted to hear about things. One of Dad's buddies kept an eye on the locked display case that held all of our, mostly her, jewelry and valuable antiques. Even some of my duplicate keys were under lock and key. In fact, I didn't even know if this daddy friend of mine knew about jewelry, but the little, neat, but rather sneaky old ladies hanging around the display case were fascinated by it. The street was already crowded, as 2 of our nearest neighbors took advantage of the crowds and put out some of their stuff. We didn't fail to exchange pleasantries with them. Darcy, Deanna's closest friend on our block, showed up shortly before 8 a.m. "Chad, what's going on?" she asked demandingly. Good morning, Darcy. Actually, it's called a garage sale. I grinned as I circled the yard. I know what it is, asshole, she snapped. Deanna told me you guys were just going to be selling some stuff. And here... Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. It's not even 8 in the morning and we've already sold some good stuff, I bragged. But, she didn't say anything about furniture, Darcy said, frowning and looking around. I guess she just didn't want you to know about it. I'm sorry, Darcy. I'd love to spend time talking to you, but I have work to do. Happy shopping. I flashed my white-toothed smile at her suspiciously frowning face. Darcy looked pretty pissed that I'd been so careless in getting rid of her. She and Deanna always liked to think they were in control, so I wasn't surprised when my phone rang a few minutes later. Hey, Deanna, hi. Sorry, I can't talk long. I'm really busy with this garage sale, you know. It's like an invasion. But we're doing just fine without you, thank God. Chad? Darcy tells me you have clothes and furniture all over your front yard and driveway, came through the phone in the clearly angry voice of my sweetheart. What can I say? I have to get up early to get past Darcy. Yeah, things are moving fast here, and fast. All right, well, it was nice talking to you. Don't you dare shut! Deanna's hysterical scream was drowned out as soon as I pressed the magic button and ended the conversation. Well, it was only her first call anyway. I let the next one go to voicemail, and the next one, and then the next. Well, you get the big picture. Oh, whoa, the pictures! How could I have forgotten about them? I went back into the house, went through the rooms, and took them all off the walls. Hell, the frames alone were worth 10 times what I'd asked for. When I reappeared in the yard, my mom informed me that Deanna had managed to call her as well, but she had ignored the call. Mammy handed me an envelope with $500 in it, and it was only 8:15 on the clock. Wow, not bad at all. As I looked around, I realized that despite the crowd of potential buyers, our Egyptian pyramids of stuff had hardly shrunk. Every time there was room on the table, Beth would immediately empty another box. By this time, the road in front of our house was a zoo. Someone was trying to back their pickup truck up next to our driveway to load a dresser. Meanwhile, another envelope with $500 in it went from my mom to me. Some obsessed lady was trying on Deanna's shoes at an unbelievable rate, like a shoe addict on a binge. Her eyes were burning with an unquenchable fire, like she was going to carry off 10 pairs, or even 20, worth a couple $100. And I was still worried about how those slightly worn Louboutins would sell. Deanna called again, and I decided it was time to pinch her cheeks again. Hello? I purred. Don't you dare halloo me, asshole! Darcy told me you're selling my clothes and thoughts. Your friend is very observant. You weren't supposed to touch my stuff, she shrieked. My bad. I swear you said to get rid of the ugly stuff, so that's what I'm doing. Remember, you even wrote it down, didn't you? I was talking about your sweaters, the ones that you think are cute, but they're actually totally ugly. Maybe you should have been more specific. Wait, let me read it. It's in your handwriting. Get rid of ugly clothes. So I'm going to tell you, your wedding dress is sold out. You know you looked pregnant in it, so I got rid of it. Isn't that cool? You're an asshole, Chad. What the hell is wrong with you? Deanna roared like a hungry, caged tiger. Just following your instructions. By the way, most of your jeans are gone too. I remember you always thought they made your ass look fat. Personally, I don't think jeans had anything to do with your ass, but either way, they won't bother you anymore. Why are you treating me like this? There's a whiny note in her voice. It's a rhetorical question, right? Oh, honey, I gotta go, I said cheerfully, noticing something in the yard. The lady who's wearing your shoes like a Christmas tree is already waving her money around. I think she's ready to settle up. We'll hear from you later. And I pressed the red button. Earlier in the week, Wednesday morning. Enough said. I've been to all of our previous garage sales, if you remember, I replied calmly. You may have been there, Chad, but it was always me who planned everything. Now I'm just trying to make sure everything goes smoothly without me. My wife, Deanna, was organizing our upcoming community garage sale. The HOA we belong to limits us to such events twice a year, in the spring and late summer. We participate in them, but more for the sake of immersing ourselves in the neighborhood community than to make money. Although, of course, it's nice every once in a while, so to speak, to clear out the home's Avgean stables and get rid of things that no longer have meaning in our lives. Deanna won't be around this time. She's traveling to Cleveland to, as she hopes, finalize some kind of merger. It seems to be her fourth trip there in the last 3 months. She's not a lawyer, but works in the legal department of her corporation. I continued, waving the sheets of paper in my hand. There must be 6 whole pages of your instructions here. Come on, I'm going to get help either way. My parents and Beth already said they'd be here. I think my mom is only doing this so she can spend more time with Beth. I was just writing down everything that came into my head. I'm just trying to make your life easier. Give me the list. I just remembered one more thing. Here, look. I'm writing it down. Get rid of these ugly clothes. You got it? She tapped her pen on the paper in front of her. Whatever you say. I'm not some capricious child. No matter how hard we try, we won't get much money for some things. And yes, some of it will still be stolen. It happens every time we do an event like this. Don't worry, I'll keep the most valuable items under glass. You're always looking at your phone, I said, noticing that she was distracted by it. What's up? I'm just checking Uber and Lyft fares, Deanna answered a little hastily. They change all the time. See? I just saved $10, she bragged, not showing me the screen of her phone, but instead tucking it into her pocket. They'll be here in 15 minutes. Can we hug before we go? We can do more in 15 minutes if you want. I'll send you back to the home of the 1964 NFL champions with a radiant smile on your face. With that sentence, I tried to grope and fondle Deanna, while she, giggling, tried to slip away from me. Get off me, you pervert! She fought back, slapping her palms against my hands before she broke free, jumping aside and adjusting her clothes. Have it your way. Have a safe trip. As soon as the summoned car arrived, Deanna was out the door in a flash. For some reason, lately we were looking more and more like co-workers than a married couple. What's that saying? You can see a lot just by watching? Deanna and I were at someone's graduation party. The stress of this merger was starting to take its toll on her, and she probably should have stopped drinking alcoholic beverages a few drinks ago. On the way home, she started playfully rubbing my pants. Well, well, well. Looks like someone's ready for action. Step on it, Chad, grinned my liquored-up wife. I sped up and we soon arrived home, safe and sound. Once inside, we threw off our clothes and rushed to the bedroom and made love. After a little while, Deanna was fast asleep on my chest, though she never got off me. I replayed the last 20 minutes in my head. And here are some of the unusual things I noticed. 1. She never initiated love first. 2. The only time I'd ever been honored by Deanna had been on my anniversary birthday, and even then she'd done most of the work reluctantly. 3. There was no follow-up after that. So what happened tonight? At the party, she wouldn't leave my side all night. So if I didn't awaken her insatiable sexual predator, then who did? I assumed something was rotten in Cleveland. So when her next trip there was announced, I alerted my somewhat expensive private investigator to her upcoming itinerary. Yes, there were no overt displays of affection in public during her next business trip to Cleveland. But my weaselly boyfriend had installed motion-responsive cameras in every hallway of the 4-story hotel where Deanna was staying. She really did a good job of creating a distraction. Deanna would leave her room, take the elevator downstairs, and go to buy something in the hotel lobby. Then she would return to her floor, but go to a different room. And only before dawn would she go back to her room. Game, set, and match. Friday afternoon. Deanna's parents showed up. Hank held them up talking on the sidewalk, so I went out to them myself. Chad, what are you doing selling all this stuff? Deanna told us that there were only supposed to be a few small tables of items for sale. Apparently, she's not very good at math, I replied nonchalantly. She also said you weren't returning her calls. That's not true. I've already talked to her several times this morning. Well, she says you hang up on her and then ignore her repeated attempts to call her back, her mother interjected unhappily. Why don't you call her and tell her to tell David that he better watch his back soon, I suggested to her. David? Who's David? Well, apparently he's the bastard she makes love to during her so-called business trips. If you need proof, I have something for you. I knew I'd need convincing. What kind of proof? Her father attacked me. Here's a photograph, please. You can keep it because I have plenty more of these. As you can see, the image is dated this morning, specifically 4:21 a.m. Notice that Deanna leaves the room barefoot, with her blouse unbuttoned and her bra and shoes in her hands. And where is she sneaking from? Oh, that's David's room, where she's been all night. Look at you, what a good wife. My voice was dripping with sarcasm. Both parents lost the power of speech in the blink of an eye. Her father only opened his mouth and stuttered because he was having trouble saying the words. But, you can't sell all her things, he finally formulated his thought. Hey, come on. I've got 6 pages of instructions here from Deanna on how to run a successful garage sale. I think I can handle it. Then I noticed my mom waving at me from the yard, surrounded on all sides by buyers with bucks in their hands. Excuse me. I think I need to take care of a problem that Kathy seems to have. I'll leave you to it, and if you want, you can call and talk to Deanna. Oh, and don't forget to ask her about David, I shouted, moving away as they stared at the picture of their cheating daughter. I got there just in time. Someone in the crowd was haggling furiously over the price of a set that used to belong to Deanna's grandmother. I'd certainly like to get it all taken away quickly, but the antique furniture was made by Gustav Stickley around 1910, so it was worth a lot of money. In the end, we agreed on $1,000 for a bookcase, a table, and 2 side chairs. Judging from the last time I checked the value of this antique online, they bought it for about 1/4 of the real price. Excellent. I really wanted these items to go to someone, since they meant so much to Deanna. If someone else bought her family jewelry as well, it would be a great Friday. When I got back to Deanna's parents, they had tears in their eyes and looked depressed. My phone rang again, but after a quick glance at the screen, I saw that it was only Deanna. She and I had nothing to talk about. She says, she loves you, Chad. Can't you two figure something out? Her mother begged. I've already thought of something, I said, pointing my thumb behind me at the human anthill that was clattering and chaotic in our yard. We'll get rid of everything we don't need and I'll move into my own apartment. And Deanna, well, she can live here with David if she can make the mortgage payments. When they realized the futility of persuasion, they sank down and shuffled away, wiping away their tears. I felt sorry for them, though, since we'd always gotten along. Deanna called again, and this time I answered. Hey, cheater. How are you doing, still making love to that asshole? I greeted her. I'm so sorry. Please stop the damn sale, she whimpered. I'm sorry you can't see a bunch of strangers pouncing on the stuff we put out in front of the house. Wow, they're scavenging the stuff from our past lives like cockroaches. Oh my God! There was a sob on the other end of the line. Well, you told me to get rid of all the disgusting things, and everything you wear makes you look like a disgusting, conniving fool, so I offered to move your stuff. By the way, how's David doing? Deanna didn't have an answer right away, so I just shut down. Again. By 2 o'clock in the afternoon, with an hour left of the sale, all the furniture and jewelry were gone, as well as most of the shoes. Apparently, Brooks and Hoka are very popular with garage sale enthusiasts. We still had a lot to sell, but most of the front lawn had been cleared out. I was walking around with $5,000 in my pocket, which made me a little nervous and not too safe. I wasn't surprised when I read another message from Deanna begging me to stop trashing her stuff. I wrote back that her jewelry was missing from her valuables. Probably someone had bought them and was already wearing her rings, earrings, and chains. To this came a shriek of anguish. "You're a muddie!" It was already 3 hours in the afternoon, but Beth and Kathy were still selling merchandise, so it was another hour and a half before the traffic in our yard finally cleared. We weren't going to continue selling on Saturday, so we just stacked the rest of our stuff back in boxes and slid them into the garage. Deanna's plane wasn't due to leave Cleveland until after dinner, and she had called several times from the airport. Collapsing on a chaise lounge with a bottle of beer in my hand, I answered one of her calls. "Hey, cheater, how was your trip?" "I'm sorry," came a quiet voice in the receiver. "I can imagine how sorry you are, but it doesn't change my plans." "What plans?" "I moved out. I got an apartment close to work." But how can we work things out if you've moved out?" "Attention! We have breaking news," I exclaimed in a TV reporter's voice. "We're not fixing anything. You cheated. You've been caught. Game over. Maybe you'll have better luck next time. Maybe you won't." I could tell I could hear Deanna's spasms and sobs, but I didn't feel like worrying about her condition. "I'm sorry, Chad," she finally said. "Will you still be there when I get home?" "Of course not. In fact, I don't intend to ever set foot in that house again. By the way, Kathy picked up your half of the proceeds from the garage sale. She's anxiously awaiting your call, and I think she's got a few choice words she's going to say to your face. I didn't realize Mom knew that kind of language before." "Oh my God, I've really screwed up my life." I'm not going to argue with that brilliant but somewhat belated conclusion. Apparently what we had meant so little to you that you decided to throw it away so easily. If it's any consolation, it's not just your life that's ruined, I continued. You know, I shared a copy of the picture I gave your parents with your lover David's wife. If I were you, I'd run without looking back if you suddenly see her heading your way. She whimpered for about a minute. Hearing and feeling the way she was suffering was a little comforting to my so-called fragile male ego. Petty, I know, but still. My heart was torn apart when my investigators received the first folder of incriminating photos of Deanna. She was so arrogant and confident that I didn't know anything and wouldn't find out that it only took me 2 days to get what I needed and complete the information gathering that was costing me quite a bit of money. Deanna was the first to break the lingering silence. "Divorce?" she asked in a colorless voice. "Yes, of course. What did you expect?" "Yeah, I hadn't thought it through. It all came crashing down on me when I was on the road." "Well, then I apologize for overreacting." "I deserved it. What happens to the house now? You can buy my half or we can sell it. That's the way it usually works in cases like this. All my good memories there are now ruined, so I'm glad I'm out of there." "Can we still be friends?" Deanna asked with a shy hope in her voice. "I don't think so. Maybe 50 years from now in a nursing home somewhere," I told her with a chuckle. "I'm sorry," came the quiet voice again. "Yeah, you said that already." "My plane's coming in for a landing. You're not going to pick me up this time, are you?" "I guess just to be safe," she said. "No, I'm not. I hope your luggage doesn't get lost. I wouldn't want you to lose all those special things you wore for David," I said, taking one last jab. "Yeah, love you," were her last words. "Whatever you say," I said, and ended the conversation. By the following Tuesday, the divorce papers were served, in Deanna's office, of course. At the same time, David received the paperwork equivalent of a suit for alienation of affection. I may have wasted my money on this, but in the end, it had the desired effect. All the trump cards I had on my hands were pictures of both of them entering his room at night and not coming out until the next morning. There was no way to prove that they made love there exactly, but at least they were both eliminated from the merger team. And I think their chances of moving further up the ladder in that company were close to zero. Even though I had Deanna's written instructions for the garage sale in hand, my attorney warned me that a judge might take a different view. Heh, we'll see. There's always a chance. And even if I have to reimburse her for the damages I caused, those precious and beloved original items she held so dear were now gone, along with all the dear and fond memories that were associated with them. As it turned out later, the judge only demanded compensation from me for those items for which Diana could prove that they belonged solely to her. And no paper receipts, alas, were saved. So sorry. In the end, the whole thing didn't cost me much. Except for the heartache. Don't believe anyone who tells you otherwise, but I'll try to get over it. Yes, I have a big weight behind me and serious trust issues. But life has dealt many other good people worse cards than mine. So I'll get through this. The end.